So I've covered this topic in a previous video about how many tracks does it really take to make full-time income through the sync licensing industry, and I actually had this issue brought up again in the previous Sync Edge live Q&A that we did just the other week. And there was a member who asked a really great question, but it also sort of shined a spotlight on maybe some trouble that he might be in his career right now. And the question was, he'd been at it for 2 years, I believe, and he had 200 tracks distributed between 4 or 5 different companies, libraries, and he had 0 placements. He had no placements at all. And so his question was, well, is it just a matter of numbers? Are my numbers not big enough? Maybe 200 is just not enough. Maybe more libraries. You know, what's going on here? And so, you know, generally I'll say something is wrong. If you've been working that hard for 2 years in this industry with that many tracks, 200 tracks, that's a lot of music out there. And between all 4 or 5 of the libraries that you're with, you're not seeing even one placement, like no notification from the library, maybe even through TuneSat if you're uploading your tracks directly there, or obviously through the royalty placements that you would get statements through BMI ASCAP, whoever you're with. So there's certainly a problem there. Okay, now I don't know if it's a matter of the 200 tracks are maybe not licensable. They're not high quality enough, because there are a lot of libraries that will accept a lot of music, almost pretty much anything, especially if they're not paying, right? A lot of these libraries that don't pay any consideration fees, some of them are very picky, don't get me wrong, but there are a lot that'll just, if it's halfway decent, they just want to have a lot of options in their catalog and they don't have to pay a dime for them. They might accept a lot of music in there. And so that doesn't really do you that much good. You might get excited that you got accepted by a music library, but in the long run, if your tracks are sort of subpar compared to what else is going on in that library's catalog, your tracks do not shine. They don't grab the attention. They're not going to be sort of passed around. You're not going to be put on a short list of maybe some of the clients of that library who love your music and start writing your name down and starring and favoriting your tracks in their online catalog. That's the kind of stuff that happens when you have really high quality licensable stuff, right? So what I wanted to do in this video is to really shine a light on the fact that don't get so wrapped up in a number, okay? I think a lot of producers think, oh, you just got to have 100 or 200 or 500. I even told this member in the Q&A, I said, I don't care if you have 200,000 tracks out there. If they're all subpar, average, below average, low quality, not delivering a very clear emotional tone, not following into a sort of clear genre, kind of going all over the place, you know, no good sort of flow and movement and dynamics. They're not building along the way. And worst of all, they're not even serving the needs of the clients of the library that you're submitting to. You could literally have infinite number of tracks in the system in a library or multiple libraries and be getting 0 placements. So it's not really just about the numbers. I know that I've definitely stressed that a lot for you guys to say, really build up your catalog, right? And so that's why I want to make sure this is very clear for you guys. That doesn't mean just crank out a bunch of subpar, crappy music and have large numbers of tracks out there, potentially getting you placements. That is not the right approach, okay? I want to make sure you guys are very clear on that. There still needs to be quality, okay? That's why you have to find a balance between, you don't want to spend a full month completing one song because you're a perfectionist and it has to be the highest quality thing you've ever produced in your life and you have to just be absolutely in love with it or else you're not going to put it out. That is going to the extreme of quality, okay? And you also don't want to be a quantity hog where you're just like, I don't care if it's good, I'm going to crank out 10 tracks a day and whatever. That's also the other end of the spectrum, the extreme end. So you got to find a balance in the middle where you're cranking out consistently. I say shoot for 2 to 3 tracks a week. If you can get to that point, you can probably go higher. But definitely if you're at the point where you're doing like 1 track a week right now or 1 track every 2 weeks, you need to speed that up just a bit, okay? There are definitely ways and methods and strategies to help you do that, but you need to start taking steps to make sure that you pick up that pace, okay? 1 track a week, having 4 tracks done in a month, you can start to slowly build a presence in this industry, but I know many of you do not want to take 5-10 years to finally get to the point where you can do this full time. If you want to speed that up to a couple of years, that means you're going to have to work at a much quicker pace, okay? So find that balance where you can be consistent, 2 to 3 tracks a week, but those 2 to 3 tracks need to hit a minimum standard of quality, okay? Now, what's that standard of quality you should be shooting for? Well, what I recommend is whatever library you're going to be submitting to, go listen to their catalog, go to their website. Many of them, I'd say 80 to 90% of them, put their catalog online. You can listen to them. You can enjoy them. You're not going to be able to download their tracks, so don't try to create an account and get sneaky and download tracks to your hard drive. But just have it up on another browser screen next to your DAW, and listen to the music that you want to be on par with. So if you're a hip hop rock producer, listen to their hip hop rock. Try to get your tracks on par or even better than what you're hearing in their catalog. You can also use, obviously, the modern pop or modern charting tracks if you want to just go on YouTube or just billboard.com and find what are the best hot tracks right now and sort of emulate that style if that's the style you're going in. But if it's more of a cinematic, orchestral, really a sort of TV trailer themed sort of a style you're going for, go right to the source, which is music libraries, okay? That's why my directory is very valuable, and that's why my Sync Edge program is even more valuable, because I point you directly to these libraries and I tell you which genres are the most applicable, which I believe are the most likely to get you guys placed and get you accepted. Not only just get you in the door, right? That's not good enough, but get you in the door and have music that is useful and can be placed quickly and regularly with that library. That's what I'm doing with Sync Edge, and that's what you guys need to be doing. You can do this absolutely on your own. You can do the Google searches. You can do the analysis of these libraries yourself. You can take your best guess as to which catalog or which genre within the catalog you feel could be strengthened or added by your talents. You can absolutely do all this stuff yourself. Sync Edge just basically cuts down that time a lot, like to the point where you can find this information in one day if you want to. You can literally go through the research and all the videos and see all that stuff right away. So that's what that service was meant to be designed for, okay? But I want you guys to take away from this, again, don't get too hung up on how many tracks you have out there. So going back to this Sync Edge student, I basically told them it could be a matter of a few things. One, those 200 tracks might not be the highest quality tracks that you're capable of producing. You got to be honest with yourself. That might be the case. If that's the case, the best thing you can do right now is not keep submitting tracks to the libraries that are not getting you placements. I mean, that's insanity. You're doing the same thing over and over again, getting no different result. Probably a good idea. Pump the brakes a bit on submitting to libraries. Go back to the drawing board. Get better at producing high-quality licensable tracks. Get better at producing, mixing, mastering, using reference tracks, right? You need to maybe go back to kind of like school in a way to increase your value as a producer, okay? And not just think, well, I'm in a library, so let me just flood them with a whole bunch of stuff. If it's getting you results, there you go. Foot on the gas pedal, keep going for it. If it's not, yes, good time to refocus, okay? So that's one issue. It could be a low-quality track issue. The other thing is, I didn't know all of the libraries that he was submitting to, but I know many of them he was submitting before he got involved with Sync Edge. Again, one of the mistakes that I made when I was early on in this industry is I was submitting to libraries that sat on my music, didn't do much with it, and I got nothing really from it. So what you definitely need to do is, as you are in the negotiation process to get accepted by a library, ask for if they offer a reversion clause. A reversion clause is what's going to allow you, let's say in 2 or 3 years, whatever the contract states, if your tracks get no placements at all, it allows you to actually take your tracks back out of their catalog and go to a different library. This is something you should be looking forward to. Okay, you should be asking for this kind of a thing. Not all libraries will be able to grant it, but they will at least probably ask for that 2 to 3 year period because it takes them time to distribute your tracks, get it to their sub-publishers, let things sort of get shopped and recuperate on the back-end royalties, right? So it takes them some time to see if they're going to be able to deliver. So you got to give them some time, but definitely ask for that. That's one thing you can do. So for this producer, if he had some of those reversion clauses, not the end of the world, because in 2 or 3 years from whenever he signed those contracts, he can go back to them and say, I didn't get anything from you guys, taking it all back out. Here's my notice. They have a procedure for you to do that. You usually have to send them a notice, usually a written letter within 30 days of the contract expiring, and then you let them know, taking these tracks back out, right? So something to be aware of. Now, if you're stuck, it was a perpetual agreement. Now they have your music forever, all right? Take the L, move on. Just don't make that mistake again, okay? We're all human. Some of us, are naive. I certainly was when I first got started. I had no idea what I was doing. So if you get into that situation where you signed not a great contract with not a great company, take the L, accept the loss, move on. Don't make that mistake. But again, ask for the reversion clause. Look for more signs of life from the contract or from the library that you're working with. Make sure that they have recent placements. And also just make sure the music that you're submitting to them is on par, better than what they currently have, and it's useful. It's actually, you could visualize it being shopped to their current clients. That's the relationship you need to start building with these libraries directly, you and them. No middleman, okay? That's how you really need to do it in this business. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please leave your comment below, your thoughts, and leave a like. That always helps me grow this channel and let other producers find out about this important information and how to make full-time income with sync licensing. That's what this channel and that's what these videos are really all about. So thank you guys so much.